Hey everyone, it's Eliza from Gateway Classic Cars, and this is Live with Eliza. Today I'm with Kevin Webb from Hot Rod Custom and Garage, and we're talking about the top 7 cars, classics, to purchase. And they're all personally in my top 10. And we're starting with a rare car, a 71 convertible Challenger. Look at this beauty.
Why do you think a Challenger's so rare? Why are these cars so popular all of a sudden?
Well, I think definitely the newer Challengers that came out created a resurgence for the older ones. It brought back, I mean, they just have an incredible style to them. Dodge, Hemi, it's kind of ingrained in you if you are a car person. The convertibles were only made for such a short period of time. And I think also because they're going electric, everybody wants to still hold on to the classics.
Would you consider this an investment grade car?
For sure.
That you can enjoy?
Yes. I definitely think this is one of the cars that you purchase it and you can go out and have fun. I mean, look at all the space that this car has. It's perfect for families instead of like a 2-seater coupe like a Corvette. This is definitely more long drives. And that was the perfect part about Dodge coming to the party in the muscle car race when they did. They got to learn from everybody else's mistakes.
They did. They were a little late to the party, but on the other hand, they created a lot of beautiful, beautiful cars. And your TV shows, your influencers and things like that are really pushing these cars. It's amazing how they are literally taking cars that are just would not be savable 10 years ago. And now that they're putting them back on the street, they're that popular.
Now we're moving on to the next car on our list, and this is another one of those muscle cars that made a hit because it was bigger, it was wider, it's the original, it's the GOAT, it's the GTO.
What does GTO stand for? I forgot.
Gran Turismo Alma Legato. I think everybody wants to hear me get tongue-tied over that word.
And who was credited for this car?
My favorite that everybody should know by now, DeLorean. He decided to put a very big engine in a small car and shock Pontiac into submission, and a legend was born.
So you think it really changed the whole premise of Pontiac when they came out with these cars? Because the car was basically known as an accountant's banker's car, a little lower in price than a Buick. But when the GTO came out, I mean, it just exploded, and all of a sudden, now you have a factory hot rod.
Exactly. GTO started the pony car movement. They wanted to get to the youth, and they did a wonderful job. Our next set of vehicles, this actually came out of the pony car wars, and we're going on to the Camaros.
So the thing about the Camaros is especially the 67 to 69 Camaros, a lot of people are thinking, well, if I buy a classic car, can I buy parts for it? This is an example of a vehicle that you can literally build an entire car without any original parts. You can buy a body, you can buy all the trim, you can buy all the sheet metal, the engine, everything you can purchase. So if you're buying a classic car that you might, it needs a piece of trim, or I need new door panels, or I need new seat covers. These cars you can buy literally everything for them. They're considered a little smaller car, again, a pony car. But what was we talked about this earlier, what did they call GM had a secret name for these cars?
The Panther. And you know what? It is very fitting because the lure of the Camaro actually came because it was a Trans Am winner. That's where people got hooked. And now if you actually buy a Camaro and you have problems with it, there's such a large community. There's YouTube videos that you can follow and easily get repairs done on your car. And actually that's the benefit of this whole list. All the cars we've chose have parts that are available, and they're easy to repair. Now our next set of cars are also part of the muscle car war, but they came towards the end of the whole muscle cars, and that's the Chevelles.
So we have 3 examples here, some beautiful, beautiful cars, a 67, I think it's 2 69s. I believe one of these cars is a numbers matching car. We hear that term a lot. And what that basically means is that the car has its original engine in it, has the original transmission, the original driveline in it. But I caution people when they're buying cars like this, don't get hung up on matching numbers cars. Remember, these cars were raced, they were drag raced, they were street raced. It wasn't unusual to have the engine changed. Typically, when people buy a classic car, if it's not a numbers matching car, they tend to drive it more. They tend to drive it more. Whereas if it is numbers matching, they're afraid to drive it, afraid to put miles on it. So again, drive them and enjoy. That's the most important part of these cars. You always want to drive them and enjoy them.
And the SS is a rare Chevelle, but because of parts accessibility, it's easy to clone the cars. And that means you're just making an honor to the original.
And Gateway is very, very careful about the documentation on these cars. They require the owners to bring the documentation to prove that it is a true SS if it's advertised as that. If it's a clone, again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like having a really, really nice painting hanging in your house, but it's not the original painting. And they're fun to drive.
All right, and now we're off to our next set of vehicles. We're moving a little bit away from the muscle cars, but we're still gonna be as American as apple pie. We're headed on to the trucks.
And one thing you're going to notice here, we have an example. We have a nice Dodge Ram truck here. We have a Chevy. Fords are always popular. The 67 to 72 trucks that we have two here are one of the more popular eras of trucks. And the reason of their popularity is they're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit wider. Every series got a little bit more comfortable. A very, very easy truck to maintain. Again, parts availability. You can literally build these trucks from scratch, or you can buy one and upgrade it. So they're really, really nice and a lot of fun. Everybody loves old trucks.
Yes, they are a lot of fun. And that's why they always make my top 10. So now we're gonna be headed on to our second to last car. And this one, everybody usually associates with classic and the Bel Air, one of the Chevy TriFi vehicles. And why do they call it the TriFi?
Tri-5s are the model designation for Chevrolet from 1955 to 1957. One of the more popular eras. This is when the styling was very, very important back then. And these vehicles, unlike today, they changed every year. But the three vehicles, those 3 years were considered kind of grouped together. Minor changes throughout the life. Beautiful, beautiful cars. Very, very roomy. And one of the best bargains right now because there's an awful lot of these cars available.
There is. They made a great deal of them. It was the old versus the new war when they started coming out. And so there's the accessibility is there, plus the community is there. That is the group of cars you see the most at the car shows, pinups, rockabilly, all that fun stuff.
The other side of it too, you talk about support is, you know, all the forums that are out there, all the different car clubs. Whenever somebody buys a purchase or looks at buying a classic car, I always tell them join whatever car club is associated with that particular model.
Yes.
Because if there is a little part that you're missing or you're really not sure how something works, boy, the forums, the car clubs and things like that are great sources of information. So what do we have next?
We have saved, I guess, the best for the last. This is the original, well, some people say the GTO's original pony car, but it's the Mustang. The Mustang is, you know, from a line of ponies. It's got the horse on it. It was created because Lee Iacocca decided that the youth needed something fun to drive after the war ended. And when you think of muscle cars and you think of the pony car war, the Mustang is always the first one that comes to mind.
And they still build the Mustang. That's the thing too, is the Mustang group is so supported so well. I mean, the new Mustang that came out, of course the Mach-E, which is electric, you know, some people like it, some people don't. But these cars are, the heritage and the value of these cars are just unbelievable. Parts availability, again, always very, very good. The original first series of Mustangs are great investment value vehicles. A lot of different vehicles were available. Built over 1 million of these things. So they're a lot of fun. Perfect first classic car.
And whether you're Ford versus Chevy, a Chevy person will admit that they are a fan of the first gen Mustangs.
Yep, very, very cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for Live with Eliza here at Gateway Classic Cars, where dreams are driven. You never know what we're going to talk about next, so make sure you stay tuned for next